now we are presenting our third project, which was a collaboration between We Can Code It and Korda Institute. We would like to thank John for giving us an opportunity to work on this project. Yes. So, Korda Institute, it's a US-based nonprofit organization, and their mission is to transform schools by working with hundreds of educators to change the way teachers teach and students learn. So, this fellowship is focused on engaging students in learning key skills such as adaptability, communication, critical thinking, global empathy, and technology. Next slide. The goal of this project was to create a dashboard that accurately represent the data collected to measure and demonstrate the impact of 2-year fellowship. We were provided with the data set from Columbus City Schools, which include pre and post survey. Our task was to analyze this data using Excel, and we created some visualization using Looker Studio to illustrate the impact of the fellowship. Next slide. Yep.
So when we received the data set from John, so the data set was a survey that students had responded to. So it contained a total of 21 questions, but for the purposes of this analysis, we eliminated one question because the pre and the post, they did not match. So we used a total of 21 questions from 5 schools. So the data that we received was in survey form. It was qualitative data. And so one of the things that we did was assign numerical values to each of the responses so that it was easier for us to do the analysis and also, calculate the averages. The questions that we had, the 20 questions, we also coded them or assigned short labels to each of the questions, so for easier purposes or for easier use. Once we had assigned those codes, and we categorized the questions based on how we felt like they spoke to each other, they rhymed. So for example, we came up with a set of questions that we grouped as how student feels. Another set of questions, we group them as the skills students used. And the other set of questions, we coded them or we grouped them as the projects that students used in the classroom. So once we had all that data in place, then we started calculating the averages for each of the questions between the pre and the post. And we used these averages to form our visualizations that we'll see in the next slide.
Yeah, so this slide presents the pre and the post survey results, showing how student skills improved throughout the fellowship. The survey focused on several areas: how students engaged with the ideas, find solution, how they are participating in the project, and what's their overall feeling. So as you can see that the blue bar is representing the post survey, whereas the red bar is presenting a pre-survey. And with the bar difference, you can see that how there's a difference in the post survey. Next slide. So in this visualization, as institute instructions, we excluded 2 schools, and the reason for to exclude those 2 schools were that there were students who were non-native English speaker. So we wanted to ensure that what was the accuracy and reliability of the data by focusing on the remaining schools.
So once we calculated the averages between the pre and the post for each of the schools, and for the combined schools, and for each of the questions, we did we did see a pattern emerging, whereby we did see some questions had incremental positive outcomes throughout, and so we decided to delve deeper into those questions. So for example, this first question was asking the problems you solve in class directly related to real world. So we have the green color representing yes, blue represents a little bit, Yellow represents not sure, and red represents no. So you can see there was an improvement in the pre by looking at the green color. Same to the second question, the third question, and also the fourth question. But again, if you look at the third question, which is asking, how confident do you feel about learning difficult materials in your classes? The pre and the post, the difference is very small. But again, we decided to include this because there was no one time that the pre was larger than the post. There was continuity in improvement between from the pre to the post. And so again, these are 4 questions when we consider all the 5 schools. So these are the similar questions, but this time round without the 2 schools, whose students were predominantly English language learners. And like Annie said, we decided to exclude those students to see if there will be an enhanced improvement, between the pre and the post. So after calculating, the differences between the averages between the pre and the post, we did use statistical testing to calculate statistical significance level. And this visualization shows confidence level against the different sets of questions that students responded to. The blue bars shows the statistical significance level, to which we can say that we are confident at this, that there was statistical significant improvement in the way the student responded to different sets of questions.
We can some real world experience by working on this data. We also gain skills that how we can collaborate within the team, how we can collaborate with different roles.
Yeah, so when working on Looker Studio, it was a bit challenging in the beginning because we had not worked with Looker Studio before, so it involved us watching tutorial videos to understand how the Looker works. And at some point, there was a time we spent hours and hours because we thought Looker had crashed and we didn't have an idea of how to fix it. And so through, only to realize that it was the way we had saved the files on the Google Sheets. And so it was making it difficult for us to connect the data to the Looker Studio. So thank you so much, John, for allowing us into your space to actually work on real life data. It gave us an opportunity to collaborate, to learn a new tool, but also to enjoy throughout the learning process. So thank you so much for including us. And I think that comes to our conclusion.